Board of Supervisor session.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'll allow Jake. There you go, Jake. Jake, roll call, please.
Keisha Johnner,
Here.
Mark Ramey,
Here. It worked.
Steve McCombs. Here.
It's impressive. Our mics are, we had them
I could laugh.
worked on a little bit. Entertain a motion today to approve today's agenda.
So moved.
Second. McCombs. Aye. Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Item number 3 is
We're gonna have fun today,
communications.
Brian.
Communications. Board, is there any communications that you would like to speak on? That you received?
Yeah, I've been receiving a lot of phone calls and emails about the Pella Recreation Center.
Same.
Yep.
Same.
Yep.
We did receive a communication on legislative action. Don't remember the exact House bill, but regarding carbon sequestration. Asking for our sign on to that. So maybe that's an agenda item next time.
Yeah, I do remember receiving.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yes, I also had received several calls regarding the opposition of City of Pella Recreational Center and asking for the possibility of them asking for county funds. I also received a Iowa Department of Natural Resources notification for the permit application that was submitted on January 5th, 2023 for the Pella West substation. So that will be on file. It also is at the Pella Public Library, Iowa Department of Natural Resources. Other than that, that's all the communications I have. On to public comments. This is the portion in which if you have an item that you'd like to speak on that is not currently on our agenda, these could become maybe future topics for future agendas. Anybody have any public comments? Okay, move on. Consent agenda, entertain a motion to approve today's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
On to items of business. Item number 1 is the legislative update by Kelly Myers. Kelly reached out this morning, is not feeling well. She would ask that she could possibly be on for the next meeting. So Jake, maybe a note on that. But other than that, I don't entertain a
Perfect.
motion to close discussion.
Yep. So moved.
Second.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Item number 2 is resolution 2023-25. This is in regarding Lively and the Marion County Administration of the Flexible Spending Accounts. Ms. Lisa.
Good morning. Last meeting we brought to you, switching our flexible spending account and then moving HSAs to a company called Lively. That'll give our HSA account holders the ability to invest their funds if they so choose to. So I have not received any comments from employees. So open to questions if you have any questions.
I too have not received anything. I was speaking with Lisa about it. I wanted to give the time in case people had questions, whether it was for the board or to Lisa. So the board has no other further questions. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2023-25.
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2023-25.
Second.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Item number 3 is set the date for the proposal of the FY24 Marion County budget hearing, public hearing. Jake?
So finally getting around back after Senate File 181. We don't have a resolution to set this date, but due to timing and publication notices and things like that, this would be your version 3, just exactly what you had done with all the departments, and then changing it to include the lower valuations. It does include the 20-cent reduction in the levy that you had proposed to the supplemental, and we just need to set the date so we can get publication going for that public hearing. And the way the timing worked for it, that would be April 11th would be the date to hold the public hearing and consider the final resolution budget.
Jake, do we have a final number on the impact of that legislation?
So Senate File 181, just in general terms, reduced the general fund balance by about 150,000.
So it's close to what we thought.
Yep.
Okay.
And then correspondingly, the general supplemental was reduced correspondingly to the $2.10 levy. And then the debt service levy had to go up like to 1/1000th of or something, to very, very minimal amount, but the debt service levy had to increase slightly due to the reduction of the taxable valuation.
Right.
So the taxable valuation from what you originally thought to what it ended up after Senate File 1 for countywide that you could access for general fund was reduced by 43 million. And it still left the county as a, and these are rounded numbers. Compared to last year, the countywide valuation still increased about 12 million.
Okay. All right,
So
very good.
pretty flat, but at least it didn't go backwards. There were many areas that it went backwards. And that was held because of the rural valuation was stronger. Most urban areas did indeed end up losing taxable valuation, going down, being reduced from last year. Losing might be the wrong word.
Right.
But the rural values were held stronger. A lot of that was due to the rollback, was up to like 91%.
Okay, so when you talk about the fund 2, you're just talking about the 20 cents that
Yeah, so the
we
fund
enact- that we
2,
reduced the levy.
fund 2 ending balance is lower than what, the last time we saw version 3. All the expenses stayed the same that you guys talked about, all those other revenues, but the fund 2 levy or fund 2 balance was reduced because of the 20-cent reduction and then because of Senate File 181 from what you had originally expected.
Okay.
And I have those available if you need.
I know you
Okay.
sent those
Today
to us.
was to try and set the date for it. I believe I emailed those to you at like a week ago, but I'm happy to
Yep.
show again.
Nope, that's good. Thank you.
But for timing purposes and to get it into the newspaper, I just needed to know if we could move forward for the 11th.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I am too.
Yep.
Entertain a motion to set the proposal date for April 11th for the Marion County budget hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Item number 4, which is resolution 2023-26 regarding the to approve Congresswoman Miller Meeks FY24 community project. Tyler.
So about a week ago, we received the call for projects for the FY24 Miller Meeks Community Project Funding Requests. And as part of that, an applicable project could be a road project similar to what we applied for in the FY22 and 23 cycles, and then awarded in 23 for the G28 project. So I had taken a look at our 5-year construction program and our long-term pavement management strategy. And we have a segment of road, T17 from Old Highway 92 to Highway 5 that is currently beyond the end of its useful life. It's 5 to 6 years beyond what the design life of the most recent overlay was. And it is not in our 5-year program because we don't have adequate funds from farm to market or STBG to cover a project like this, as we have other roads as well. But this one is, the condition of this one is what brings it to the top of the list. So in order to fund a project we are unable to fund in our 5-year program that currently has a need to be rehabilitated. We have invested some money here over the past couple of years with 2 different patching projects to buy ourselves some time. This road does serve the South Central Iowa Solid Waste Agency. It's a commuter route for the counties to the south to get to the Pella and Knoxville area, as well as serving the Martin Marietta Durham Quarry and Harvey Sand Plant. So my request would be that you support this project and ultimately sign a letter of support that I have drafted and provided to you as well. The applications are due on the 16th, so later this week. And I did provide in your packet the draft narratives and whatnot for the application. I have everything ready to go. We have received letters of support from a variety of county entities, the landfill, and some of the private sector individuals along that corridor as well. Drawing a blank, Lakeview Camp has a facility there, landfill, county conservation has our Wilcox wildlife area. And then I did get a letter from the sheriff as well, because we do have 2 fatalities in this section, and some minor safety improvements are part of this grant application.
Okay.
10-year crash history of 2 fatalities.
All right. Well, I know that we had talked about this, and it is a small time window on which being able to submit the application. So I do appreciate you thinking forward and having something ready. Tyler, I'm going to ask the bigger question. If we don't receive that, how do we fix that? We don't receive a grant for this?
We wait, maybe what we had planned was to do some minor asphalt patching, like our center line joint is starting to fall apart. So we would come in and mill out like 4 feet and do asphalt patching down the center. We've done lots of concrete patching, transverse concrete patching, 2 projects, like I said, with contractors. The most recent was last year. We don't have any other Band-Aid type options other than either full depth concrete patching or partial depth asphalt patching at this point. Other grants could come into play. In my budget presentation, we're doing some minor Band-Aid type thin lift overlays on some other roads to buy ourselves some time on G76 and G40. But those are not options on this particular segment.
Board, other questions? Not? Entertain a motion to approve resolution 2023-26.
So moved.
Second.
Johnner,
Aye.
Combs,
Aye.
Ramey.
Aye.
On to item number 5, which is resolution 2023-27. Order of the contract for project regarding resurfacing of the milling of the road on G71. Tyler.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be camped out here for a while. So this is to award the contract for G71 resurfacing. To give an example how this project got programmed, the most recent overlay was in 2008 on this particular segment, but it was a 1-inch overlay, which is thinner than what we would traditionally do in the 2 to 4 inch range. And that was part of the stimulus project package from the recession in 08-09. So we did a multitude of 1 to 1.5 inch thin lift overlays at that time. And we saw severe deterioration on this particular road in the last few years. So on February 21st, the DOT held a bid letting with 1 bidder. Norris Asphalt Paving was the one and only bidder, so therefore the low bid. We were disappointed in not receiving multiple bids, and the project came in at $1,327,154.99. The late start date is September 25th of this year, with 30 working days in the contract. I would recommend award of the contract to Norris Asphalt.
I have a question. Why do you think that we only received 1 and you receive others from,
I'm not exactly sure. It is in the far southeast part of our county. I guess the first probably 6, 7 years I was here, we only ever received one bid on asphalt jobs.
Okay.
More recently, we have been getting some of the metro contractors to bid. We've had 3 and 4 bidders before. But that's when we're bidding projects in the Pleasantville area in the northwest part of the county where it's more economical for them to bring asphalt out of the metro. And most of the asphalt plants in the metro are on the north and northwest corners of the Des Moines area, so.
Appreciate that explanation. Board,
Well, Norris also has a plant set up, but down by the quarry, don't they?
Norris owns 2 properties in Marion County where they've had plants in the past, yeah. And also 2 in Mahaska County. I do believe they've been recently awarded some projects on Highway 92 in Marion and Mahaska County.
Yeah, I seen they were surveying Highway 92 the other day, and then I stopped and talked to them, and they were gonna overlay that.
I don't know how many bidders they got on that project. I'll ask at the pre-con.
no further questions? Entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2023-27.
Second.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Tyler, number 6.
Yeah, so over the last couple of years, as I presented my budget and 5-year program, we've talked about scaling back on safety projects and basically only doing safety projects that can be funded fully through safety funds in order to keep our STBG and farm to market accounts at a higher level in order to do these overlay projects that currently are
Mhm.
hard to fund. So we did apply for a couple of projects in the current year. We'll talk about the next one in the next agenda item, I believe. This one is a TSIP project for the curves west of Highway 14 on G76. We were eligible for shoulder widening and shoulder paving in this particular area due to some recent fatalities. 1 fatality crash in this area. There is a high rate of crashes on this curve as well. Again, documented crashes. When I was recently down there talking with the adjacent landowners, they just had somebody go through the fence the other day, and those types of crashes aren't documented when somebody drives back out of the field on their own or their buddy pulls them out of the ditch. So we were awarded $500,000 to widen the shoulders, flatten the 4 slopes, and pave the shoulders and add rumbles. Edge line rumbles. Originally, we had estimated the project to be just under $500,000. With inflation, it's going to be slightly over. I think our most recent estimate is like $550,000. So we will have to cover some of that. Unless bids come in below our estimate, we will have some coming out of farm to market, but our original estimate was below $500,000 when we applied. We anticipate a July 2023 letting. That's why we're coming to you today to keep the project moving. We just submitted check plans last week for this project as well.
Any questions?
Nope.
All right, make a motion. I'll entertain a motion for approval of resolution 2023-28.
Move we approve resolution 2023-28.
Second.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Item number 7 is resolution 2023-29, which is the traffic safety improvement program.
Yeah, so similarly, this is a funding agreement for another TSIP project that we applied for on Highway T15 at Chrisman Corner. This project, however, does not include any earthwork, so there's no shoulder widening or 4 slope flattening as part of this project. It's simply paving of the shoulders. There's already minor shoulder paving, but this would go 200 foot beyond the radius of the curve in each direction and pave the entire shoulder at this particular location, which we also have a recent fatality in this particular location. I will state today we've talked about 4 fatalities on all these projects. In the last 10 years, Marion County only has 11 fatalities. So I don't want to scare anyone. So we've talked about 4 of those 11
Wow.
today, and we're making safety improvements at 2 of those particular locations and possibly a third. So just want to say, I don't want to scare anyone by talking about fatalities in every project we're doing.
No, I appreciate the clarification.
So I would, again, this project does come in under $500,000. We're right around 400,000 for this particular project. And we anticipate a December, January letting. Things go really well. We may try to get this in an August letting. If we have good bidders on some upcoming projects, but most likely it's going to end up in the December, January letting for 2024 construction.
Steve, any questions? Okay.
And we were holding off on this project to incorporate it into our pavement rehabilitation for T15, which is still a possibility. We have 2 years to complete this project and then we can apply for an extension. Right now, we're delaying T15 because we have other needs such as G28, potentially T17. And we're applying for some discretionary federal grants for T15. If we were to be awarded one of those, we would then include this TSIP project with that bigger project.
No further discussion? Entertain a motion for resolution 2023-29.
Make a motion, we approve resolution 2023-29.
I'll second.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey.
Aye.
We are moving along, but item number 8, 2023-30 resolution, which is the FY23 through FY27 construction 5-year program, amendment number 1. Tyler.
Yeah, so this is our current 5-year program. On April 11th, I'll most likely be bringing to you the next 5-year program and our DOT budget. But to amend our current, this is to amend our current 5-year program due to some funding changes. So the projects are not changing. The sources and the amounts are going to change as part of this amendment for our T15 Flagler Bridge. When I originally programmed this a year ago in our 5-year program, we did not have enough money in our HBP account, which is our federal bridge money account, to fund the entire
Can
project.
you tell the people what that means, what that's?
Highway Bridge Program.
Thank you.
HBP is Highway Bridge Program, which is a federal. Well, the Iowa DOT allocates federal STBG funds into the Highway Bridge Program Fund the DOT does not have to dedicate that money to bridges, but in Iowa they do. So, so our HBP account received on an annual basis, 295,000. We are able to save up so many years and borrow ahead so many years. Our available balance to let, so to go out for bid with, last year was like 2.4 million, or just under 2.5 million. The estimated project construction cost at that time was 4.5 million. So I was matching with farm to market funds when I programmed it originally. HBP at 2.4 million, using up all 10 years of our borrow ahead and accumulated balance, and then matching with farm to market. Since the FAST Act has come into play and funding has been adjusted because of the FAST Act, the Iowa DOT took about a year to figure out how funding streams will be redistributed. Our STBG balance didn't really change, or our STBG allocation didn't change, but our HBP allocations did. So we went from 295 a year to $475,000 a year. So when you factor that into our borrow ahead limit, our limit went from 2.5 to just over $4 million. So our balance that's available to let is now just over 4 million. And our most recent project estimate is at $4 million. The other change was we cannot match with farm to market if we have HBP balance available, which we now do. The caveat to that, or the benefit to that, is the state also set aside some swap HBP dollars to cover the match. So when we do a federal project now, we have to provide a 20% local match. So Iowa County Engineers Association, and Iowa DOT when they were redistributing the FAST Act dollars, still swapped some Iowa DOT funds into a separate HBP account. So those swapped dollars can now be used as match. So right now we are contributing 0 farm to market to this project through this amendment. So we are matching 20% with HBP swap and 80% with HBP, which we are now eligible to do because our available to let limit has been raised to 4 million.
So did they change the swap fund thing, the swap funds again?
Swap basically went away
That's what I
for
thought.
everything except this.
Okay,
And one other program, which is HSIP, not TSIP, but the Federal Safety Improvement. Federal Highway
Everybody
Safety
is ready to
Yeah.
go, what? List of acronyms, Tyler, next time, slide with all of them
Yep,
and a
definitions.
flow chart. For who's swapping with what? And who's not swapping with this one?
it gets
HSIP
confusing.
remains swapped. The only other thing is this HBP
Okay.
match.
Because Steve's the only person sitting up here going, yeah, I get that, yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I appreciate that you guys get it, but
Well,
oh my
Steve-
goodness, there's so many moving parts.
Yeah. This is a benefit to Marion County and to the counties in Iowa. Having that swap balance to match with is a benefit because it doesn't impact our farm to market or in some cases, your local budget. If it's an off-system bridge that you can use HBP funds.
Yeah, we were really happy when they initiated that.
Yeah, yeah. So being able to keep a part of it is beneficial.
How
But-
does this play in the big picture of doing T15? Like you do the bridge, doing the road, or you're still, like you'd said, trying to get grants and
Yeah.
funding. And
So
if-
all along the plan has been to replace the bridge first.
Okay.
We were going to do less road work as part of the bridge because we thought we would follow up with a pavement project less than a year later. That is not the case. I expanded the road work slightly as part of the bridge project.
That for alignment,
And
alignment.
to be more of a permanent road solution, because we have uncertainty in when the corridor as a whole will get rehabilitated or potentially reconstructed. We are still going to pursue grants. We did not pursue a raise grant for the bridge and the road projects because experts were
Matching
telling
funds
us
or
we
something
were
too,
not.
wasn't there?
What's
Didn't we have to have so much money up front?
We'd have cash on
Yeah,
hand,
yeah.
have cash flow, that grant, yeah. And that was going to be extremely challenging for us.
So all the dollars that you've described here. HBP, MOUs, all that, all right. All of those are coming from another source.
Yeah.
We've been able to preserve farm to market,
Correct.
so no impact to that balance. And these are one-time dollars?
Well, we get an allocation into our HB fund annually,
And that comes from the state or the feds?
feds.
Okay.
That's federal dollars. And it went from 295 to 475 as part of the FAST Act.
Okay. But no impact to local dollars that we might use for other projects?
Nope.
Okay.
Not on this one.
That's
In
for
the
the,
future, however, there could be a benefit for us on a local bridge project because of the HBP swap.
very good.
I appreciate it, Tyler. I appreciate you having the knowledge. As the people are seeing, it's a lot. There's a lot of moving parts.
This is actually one step in this process also for us to change our construction 5-year program. Once our program is approved by the DOT, our STIP, which is the Transportation Improvement Program, which basically administers federal money, will have to be amended at our next SERPTA meeting, which was supposed to be Thursday, and I think it's now delayed until
Yeah, to the
later in the
end of the
month.
month.
But by the end of this month, the second step should be accommodated to formalize this change.
Perfect.
No further discussion. Entertain a motion for resolution 2023-30.
Yeah, so moved. I'll motion to approve resolution 2023-30.
Second,
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thanks.
Item number 9 is proposed employee training exercise in courthouse closure, April 4th this year. Regarding a training, is there anybody here to speak on behalf of that?
Yeah, the sheriff can't make it. So basically the training, he wants it from 1 o'clock till 4:30. There'll be a presentation at first and do the hands-on portion of it, of the training and everything, but it's open to all the county employees. And we highly recommend that all the staff shows up for it, so. But that's like I say, from 1 to 4:30 is what he's planning on.
And I don't know if you know this answer, but when he says all staff, you're talking Tyler, you're talking
Yeah,
public health, we're talking,
That's what he wants to open it up to everyone,
Okay.
work for the county, because if they're up there, plus just having the training won't hurt. They may not be at the courthouse, but they may be somewhere else, and they can apply that to whatever area they're in.
that'd be good. It's a training and regarding. It's the, I'm not quite for sure.
Yeah,
what it is.
it's Alice, if you, of that and a mixture of another one, so.
Alright. I don't have a problem with it. I think the department heads such as Tyler and Kim and, that's something that definitely would have to work with your department to be able to make sure we can still, we have to function, so. And I don't know what Tyler has planned for that day, but yeah.
No,
Otherwise,
she's here.
yep, okay, all right. Steve, if you don't have any comments, entertain a motion to approve the employee training and closure, courthouse closure. April 4th, it is from 1 to 4:30, so we will have to do public notice. How does that work, Steve? Or Steve, listen to me, Jake. Sorry.
I would assume, this is kind of new, so obviously I have to work with clerk of court, maintenance. Emily will probably need to put information out. I don't know how far out departments are booked for like the treasurer's appointments and recorder appointments and things like that, but they'll have to look at those schedules and everybody will have to get that figured out,
Okay.
right? I don't know.
I mean, is this
So
an
April
item that
4th.
we need to set for, further out possibly because of the,
How much
Report.
lead time do you need, Troy, to set this up?
For us, it's not that much at all. We've did these before, so.
Yeah.
It'd be more like, I don't know how far out Michaela does her appointments or anything like
Yeah.
that. but-
So what I would do is say we tentatively set the date
Yeah.
for this time. Give department heads a chance to come back if there are any conflicts. If there are, we adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
I
let's
mean, that's
figure
fine
out-
with me. They've been trying to, it's difficult to land on a date for all. So that would be fine if you wanted to do that. And then if for some reason something comes up that it has to be changed again, it could, but yeah, works
And-
for me.
Normally, Emily will put out a press release and then she works with Andrew DeHaan to put it on the website.
Okay.
So for holidays and such, they already have a procedure in process or procedure in place.
It's fine. I mean, I think they've been trying to figure this out behind the scenes. I haven't been
Okay.
involved in it a lot, but I mean, if it ultimately doesn't work, we'll just have to ask for another date.
yep, that sounds fine, yeah. Entertain a motion to approve the proposed employee training.
So moved.
Yeah, I'll second that as long as we figure out everybody's schedule and then set appropriate date.
Sounds good.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Item number 10 is the parking lot agreement between Marion County and the Marion County Fair Association.
Renee, do you have that? Cards, just so we can put it up there. So bringing this back, we've had a couple of discussions on it. Jason is here with the racetrack. Just to get ready for race season, they've asked for some additional parking in the VA. City of Knoxville, I believe. Brian, you're in that blue. It's not quite a triangle, but that next to the railroad. So the city's already approved some temporary parking. Again, this would be done on a season by season basis. We don't see any development going on in that section, so we thought, we could utilize the ground for the benefit of the racetrack. As far as the right of ways and things like that, we've talked about that and crossing over the railroad tracks. I think, Jason, you'll provide the appropriate security and those types of things, and we'll get the insurance things done. And it just really to get to a point of having an agreement. Jared, your office has been working on that. Did we get a? Okay. And you've reviewed everything and are comfortable?
Yes, we've taken a look at it, and I think that it's captures the spirit of the agreement and has, indemnification things in there, but the draft that I sent you, if there's any changes that need to be made, I think the only thing that needed to be added was just the legal description of the ground.
Okay.
So we're calling it an agreement, not a lease. That is correct?
Yeah,
Oh, we're not,
that's correct.
we're not including the laundry facility area in this agreement?
No.
Okay. And I think when I read that agreement, it was for 5 years. Am I correct in that? Or is this on a year by year basis? I think I read it was for a 5-year agreement.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at it, Steve. I think,
Yeah, we talked about 5 years, but if
Yeah.
we need to do it year by year, we can do it that way too.
That would be my preference.
yeah, I mean, we can certainly amend that and make it on an annual basis. So that's not a
So-
problem.
Jason? That's all weather, it's all gonna be weather driven, isn't it?
For sure, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, if it happened to rain all day, we'll just close it and we're not, the only thing would be is if we could get trapped where we have it full and then it rains, but.
that'd be a total mess.
Right, yeah, and I talked to Chris there, and if we could get, if we knew it was gonna be a longer term deal, we're not opposed to, maybe putting down some gravel. I actually talked to him just before the meeting about what the seating, he thought it was gonna be some bigger stem stuff, maybe we would reseed it too, to get a nice cover, so, the more stable ground, we're even willing to do that also, once we see in the spring what seating does come up, so.
So we will be doing like we did last year, will somebody be manning that gate
Correct, yes,
that exits out onto the main
yes,
drag there?
yep,
Okay,
yep.
okay.
Discussion? Yep. So Steve, you wanted the agreement to be a yearly, and I kind of agree. I don't know that we should do 5 years. But I would prefer a year.
Well,
Make
I
the
think
discussion.
if I read that correctly, even if it was 5-year, we could modify it at
Yeah.
any time during the agreement, but I'm just bringing that up.
Right.
I'm not opposed to this at all.
So in terms of just approval, Steve, you want to approve the agreement, amending it for an annual?
Well, that'd be my preference,
Okay.
annually. That way we can all take a look at it again, without having to go through the process of saying, okay, we're done with this 5-year thing,
Sure.
let's just do that right off the bat.
Sure.
Then we can maybe, assess the situation. Hopefully it works well and, not at least gives us time to talk about it again. So
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
All right.
entertain a motion to approve the parking agreement between Marion County and Marion County Fair Association on a yearly basis.
So moved.
Second,
Johnner,
Aye.
Combs,
aye.
Ramey.
Aye. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Item number 11 is the site plan for the expansion of KLN Entertainment, also known as Slideways.
Yes.
Missy.
Yep, so we started the original discussion back in December of 2019 with Logan Van Zanny and his wife Maddie. They've been working behind the scenes to get plans in place. As I included in the packet, they did have, when they did the survey of an additional 7 acres to allow for the expansion, They also, per the Marion County ordinance requirement, did have detention calculations done by Garden and Associates. Some of the detention is routed to the existing pond and the other is up to the proposed. So the expansion is 11,755 square feet onto the existing bar karting area. That's going to be potential 8 lanes of bowling and bar expansion. The other expansion is the building that's directly behind the track, which would be a 60 by 180 part storage / shop. Currently, they're stored outside under the overhang. And there would be a bathroom in there. They are planning to add some additional parking, which would include ADA parking along the expansion to what the proposed bowling alley area is. So this did go to the county engineer and Marion County Environmental Health on February 9th. And as I stated, we had met previously on and had discussions about the overall plan, didn't have any definitive details. So at that time, septic was discussed with preliminary numbers. As you can see on March 7th, the Marion County Zoning Commission approved the site plan with a stipulation. And that's because recent number changes, working with Cameron, now working with the Iowa DNR level and potentially an engineer to determine the septic. That piece of the puzzle has not been defined. So the zoning commission approved it with a stipulation that no building permit can be issued until the septic design and permits in place. So initially, I mean, basically they don't want, and nobody wants, nor would I issue a permit until we get that piece. That's a big piece of the puzzle. I believe Logan can speak to if it ends up going to a DNR level, potentially that could nix the project. So, I mean, it's in everybody's best interest that they move forward, continuing to talk with Cameron, Corey at the state level, and potentially the recommendation was an engineer to design the septic before they know for sure whether it's going to be a county regulated system or a DNR regulated system. So that's kind of a big piece of the puzzle. So you as a board would have, I guess, 2 options, in my opinion. You move forward with the same specification that the zoning commission had put in place, that I can't issue a building permit until the septic's in place, or the other option would be then to table it till they get a plan on the septic to bring back to you. And then Logan's here if you have any further comments than what.
Yeah, from a timing standpoint, it doesn't do anything because it sounds like you have to have that piece.
We have to have that piece to move forward with the building permit, and that's standard, whether it's a project like this or a house. I mean, I never finalize a building permit on anything that requires a septic until they have the septic permit in place.
Right.
The only difference is in this situation, we won't even allow them to start the building permit until we have the septic plan in place.
Right. I mean, we certainly want businesses to expand and are excited. I think that's great that businesses are expanding, but I would suggest waiting until you've got the complete.
I prefer to
Package.
table until we make sure we know whether this is going to be a DNR or.
Yeah, that way we can just approve it at all at one
Yeah,
time.
so it wouldn't have to go back to the zoning commission, it would just come back to you guys.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
We bring it back on the table and then, yeah.
Yep.
So.
So I will make a motion to table this item.
Is the DNR requirements more restrictive?
Yes, so the setbacks, if you have a DNR system, the setbacks are a lot greater. They go from like the standard, and don't quote me, 10 foot if it's a county regulated, to over 100 foot. So yeah, they're a lot greater setbacks, which would, and you've got to have then the engineered design that goes along with the DNR permitted system. So yeah, and there's more expense to a DNR system. I don't know the exact amounts. That's not my wheelhouse. So, but I do know that the one thing, because Cameron was at the zoning meeting and he did express that setbacks on a DNR system are a lot greater than they are for, in the other option. And I know that there's been some discussion, Logan's had it with the city, as if potentially, my understanding from our conversation yesterday, if they were to, so I guess I should add to it too, they have an existing system that will continue, they'll continue to utilize for the existing building. It's the new buildings, the expansion that requires an additional system. A lot of those numbers, I provided you to them, and if you're like from Cameron, if you're like me, that's not, again, my area, but in talking with Cameron and Corey, a lot of time, a lot of the calculations on a bowling alley are based on per lane basis
So
and
the,
then square footage.
so the expansion to the existing building,
Correct.
that
We'll go into a new system.
will go into a new
Correct.
system.
Yep. So what the bathroom and the kitchen that's currently there that was fitted with a grease trap and everything will continue to go into the existing system. And the expansion, which includes the bowling alley, and then the bathroom that's going to be in the maintenance shed will go into the new system.
Okay, so you're gonna have two systems
Correct.
on site,
Yep.
basically.
Kim, do
Okay.
you have any comments on this?
Just it, from the preliminary numbers, it looks like it's going to be a DNR permit, not a local. So there's still some work to do. There's still a lot of unanswered questions about how this is going to be put together. But if we just don't want to, we can't approve, we can't encourage you to go forward until the entire package is put together, because it may be out of our jurisdiction, and then that's something the state needs to deal with.
What determines when it's out of our jurisdiction?
The
Kim?
size of the system.
The size of the
The
system.
gallons
Correct.
per day. So
Okay.
Yeah.
1,500 gallons per day is the cutoff to where county regulation goes to state regulated. And I think the calculations, and correct me, I'm not sure, I thought they were close to 2,000 gallons a day was what the current calculation without.
The preliminary numbers are
Yeah.
too big for
Yeah.
us
So,
to be able to
yeah.
do it. So that would require the state DNR.
By obtaining, and I know Logan's talked to one engineer, by obtaining an engineer to design the system, they bring in a lot more factors than just the charts and the gallons per day. So that may be an option to have them look at the big picture and they individualize a plan versus just basing it on a chart in chapter 69. So that's what we've kind of encouraged Logan and Maddie to potentially get. I know they've talked to Juan and he's not, I don't think is going to take it on, but there are other engineers that could potentially design a more individualized plan for this.
It sounds to me like we need to figure out a definition of what actually you're gonna be doing there, Logan. Actually, who's gonna have to, approve this system? In other words, it'd be the DNR or us.
Yeah. So,
The numbers they're calculating, you just ran a water
Just a second, sir.
report for the past 3 years. Busiest month.
So the
And,
people online can hear.
So during nationals, it's the busiest we get for that 1 week. The whole month of August, running the few campers we camp out there, we hit 44,000 gallons of water. So these calculations on what they're trying to say with a bowling alley is going to increase our flow of people more than what nationals brings to us. So that's where I'm kind of confused where these numbers come from. So we hope that we don't have to go to a DNR level. One quote we got was like 250,000 for a septic tank. So we're not gonna, we can't do that. There's
Right.
no way.
Right.
We're wondering how many counties are in, or how many counties have like bowling alleys outside of city limits and where these numbers come from, but nobody's been able to tell us that.
Yeah.
We did some estimated calculations and we don't even, like our whole year last year was like 640 gallons a day.
Mhm.
And that's us filling water truck for the dirt track out and running the mini golf pond and filling that up too, so.
Right.
We've tried to submit some water, gallons usage and see if that's an option, but we're waiting on some responses, I guess, at this point.
No, I'm like with Mark. I mean, we want the growth. I just
Yeah.
need to make sure that it's done properly. And so,
And that
Yeah.
is one of the things in talking with Cameron yesterday, that he did recommend that they get the last 3 years worth of numbers on water usage. That does help, whether it be Cameron working with the DNR or it be an engineer, the water usage calculations do then tend to individualize and customize what the septic would be.
Very good, thank you.
so Mark has made a motion to table. I'll second that.
Ready? McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Item number 12 is the, regarding, the tabulation system agreements. Jake?
This one is me. So what I'm bringing before you is a proposed agreement we have received from Henry Atkins and Sons. It's our longtime election equipment supplier. We've worked with them for a long time to update our vote tabulation system. This is the scanners that go into the polling sites and the handicap accessible machines that are in the polling sites. And then the results are brought back to the courthouse and tabulated on a central computer. So that would be new too. We are at this time not proposing to replace our scanner that counts the absentees themselves, that actually does that counting. That can be incorporated into this. The system that we currently use has been solid, just done a tremendous job for us. We are still using it. We actually used it a week ago today in the Prairie City Monroe special election. It is it was purchased in 2015, and with technology, it is nearing end of life, and there's a new unison is created and got completely certified at the federal and state level, the next generation. And I don't like to get too far behind with our voting equipment. So it is still operational. But again, ending near of life, ending near of support. There are new technologies just on how the information is kept on the machine, scans and things like that. So this new unit does seem to have a little more of advantage on the storage. If you could go to the next one as well.
Hey, Jake, what defines the end of life? Just technology?
Yeah, and
advances?
when the vendors decides it's going to stop supporting
Oh,
and
okay.
stop supporting the updates. So every year we pay for a maintenance agreement and we get updates. And then if there was the situation like a jamming issue or something like that, they may have to affect rollers, things like that. So, or the scanner. So the unit there you see before you is actually what goes into the polling sites and the ballots are dropped into, and then you can see we have the big black cases that we use now and stored in the basement. These units fold up and are a little bit, hopefully more handy to move around. The benefits, again, this has been a rock solid system for us. The programming effectively stays the same. So this is hardware update more than like a programming update. So we're going to be very familiar with how to use the tabulation system on election night, the programming, those types of things beforehand. From a standpoint of our poll workers, who we rely on greatly, and they put in huge days, it's going to be a minimal change because a lot of the language is the same. It looks a lot the same, process is the same. So we'll have to update our training and all of our guidebooks and things of that nature. But from a poll worker experience, we really hope that it's a minimal adjustment. And then from our voting experience, we hope it's basically they don't even notice because it's the same type of system it's all paper ballot yet, and that they won't have to experience a very big learning curve at all with this. So will be the same process. They'll still vote a paper ballot. Iowa requires paper ballots, and they'll walk up to the scanner and drop it in. From a cost standpoint, when we purchased in 15, it was $200,000 and that included that scanner. The price for this is $150,000, which is just, I think, a solid piece, and they're willing to give us over 3 years with no interest.
So Jake, couple things.
Mhm.
You are looking at, if we were to approve the purchase, would this be in your next year's budget, FY '24? Are you looking at
Yeah,
doing it?
the
this
first payment, it would start for next year.
Okay.
And the first payment would be, it would be over 3 years.
Okay, so yeah, the no interest, looks like roughly 50,000 per year for the next. This is a random question, but just
Mhm.
comes to mind. What do you do with the old equipment?
They take it back. So,
Really?
mhm.
This is, I guess maybe is this a lease then we're doing?
No, it's a purchase. It's simply like, I don't have a mark, it's not something that I sell or would have any ability to support.
Right?
They gave us there is not necessarily a trade-in, but there is a customer discount. What they do with it is what they do with it. They may remarket it to a different area that doesn't have this technology even yet, or a different country. I don't know. They take it back. It's not something we're gonna sell.
Yeah, right. I get that. You would think that they would give you some sort of credit, because I appreciate that they take it back to
Mhm.
control the system and so that we don't have,
Right.
any election integrity situations. But yeah, that is interesting, I guess.
I mean, we don't have to give it to them, but it's not something that we have that we would use.
Right.
There's no information remaining on those machines that you give back, right?
That's correct. They would all be wiped.
That'd be the
Yeah.
biggest issue.
So we have a process after each election that we run audit trails, print on paper, and then clean.
Well,
There is
elections
nothing
are
that-
important. I think.
One of the things to note just about our voting equipment, just as we do all the times, is this does not touch the internet. This is a standalone system that we program and keep in-house. Our tabulator never touches the internet. So it's a standalone system that does not access the internet.
Well, it's the two things that really give us a little more confidence in Iowa is that we still use paper ballots
We still have paper ballots.
and we don't touch the internet with our
Correct.
equipment.
And we are now required, we do a post-election audit after every election as well.
Yeah.
Confirm the paper.
And these aren't.
I used, when I
Dominion.
first started in this office, we did not use paper ballots, and I was a supporter of the electronic equipment that we used, and I've seen over time that there is a benefit to having paper ballots.
Absolutely.
Any
Good.
further questions? None?
None.
Entertain a motion to approve the voting tabulation system.
Yeah, so moved.
Second?
Ramey, excuse
Aye.
me, Ramey, Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Thanks, guys.
No, you bet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jake.
Item number 13. Is the Marion County Courtyard Special Event Application, the Iowa Flag Day. Anybody here? Ms.
PT.
T.
So I don't exactly know what to say, but one of the things is that we have gone to the city and to the library to ask about using the Dixie Gebhardt House, and they said there's no water or heat there. So we were thinking of where else to have it because the library doesn't have any room for it. And so we suggested the gazebo until we talked to the videographer, prominent citizen Kurt Swanebeck, and he suggested using the courtroom because it's inside and that sounds good, but we didn't know it at the time. And so I went to Jared, the county attorney, and he said Wednesdays are really pretty good. They're not real busy or, right? I did say that, right? Generally. Yeah, okay.
Unless there's a trial, right?
Okay, so while we said the gazebo, we know that there have been times in the past when the weather is not the best. So we would suggest instead of the first floor, because I know that that's pretty busy and noisy, And we're going to have kids who will be reading their essays and we'll be reading the governor's proclamation. It was suggested that we use the courtroom, at least on that floor. And so that's and then we would ask if we could have water and just little, little cakes or something like that to be able to serve,
Okay.
if that's possible.
So Jared, everything, so, see, I want to make sure I understand. You want to use the gazebo as a primary courtroom as a fallback.
Yes.
Jared, it works with the judicial folks.
Well, I would have to check first. I would just am saying that generally speaking, Wednesdays are not a day that are very busy unless, as Ms. Johnner pointed out, there's a trial. So that's all that I've looked into
Okay.
it. I just was approached about this, so.
And also the time. I don't know about
It's
Chris.
it's
yet.
from 4 to 5:30.
Yeah, so that's another.
You're up, Chris.
If I can't find a staff member who's willing to maybe come in late and stay late to avoid overtime hours, I will be happy to do it.
And that's only if in inclement weather.
Only if inclement weather. Well, it sounds like if I read this properly, they're requesting bathrooms even if it is
Yeah.
outside.
Oh,
So regardless, we'll
Right.
have to have somebody there.
So T, I guess I'm gonna state this.
Mhm.
Because it's between 4 and 5:30,
Mhm.
I would prefer to almost leave the courtroom out of it. And the reason being is if there is a trial. If you wanted to use the first floor, Chris has said he's willing to, that, because you got water and cake. That's where I am kind of at it, because once we insert courts, that's another dynamic.
that would certainly
Um,
simplify it.
Yeah, so if the gazebo, if it's raining, whatever, then do first floor. That's where I feel much more comfortable with that.
Because we'll be videographing it too, doing that.
And I think you could do that. I mean, there's also a table there that you could set the water, and the cake, I think we could clear off. There's a table there that Mike Kuhn, I believe, our Veteran Affairs, put some information that we could move to the side and then put back later, but
And we have some tables downstairs that we'd be happy to haul up. And
And some chairs.
some chairs, T, anything for you. Be happy to do it.
Yeah, I don't care.
You
I
don't
mean, we
care.
could do it in the courtroom, we could do it on the first
And we'll
floor.
have little posters up.
We could do it in
about
Jake's
it
office.
That we've used in the past. Okay,
I just think to simplify it,
sure.
to be able to get an approval for today. Because the event's March 29th.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
it's the Iowa Flag Day.
Okay, so your motion is,
I'd entertain a motion to approve, as it's submitted. It's the courthouse gazebo, current location first, and then, second would be the first floor rotunda area.
Second,
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
aye.
Ramey.
aye.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thanks, T.
Thanks, Steve. Losing my voice.
Getting choked up about that one.
I did, right? Item number 14, resolution 2023-31. Just determining the necessity of setting dates for the consultation, sorry. I'll turn that over to you, Mike. Sorry. I'm just reading away.
That's all right. That's all right. So we're gonna I'm gonna make a motion to table this one. Until our next meeting. We had some information come up yesterday in a call with a member of the Pleasantville City Council. It sounds like there's still some details they need to be working out. That they will be discussing this Thursday. So there could be changes to what we thought we were going to have as far as the plan. Or it may be approved as is. I don't know that, but we can't go. I don't feel like we can go forward until I know that answer. So I'm gonna make a motion to table this until our next meeting.
Second,
McCombs,
aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Item number 15 is in regarding the VA campus lot pricing in city of Knoxville.
So I'll tee this up and then I'll turn it over to Glenn and, or whoever's presenting. I don't know who's presenting. Is it Glenn? Are you doing it or Brian or? We've been having some discussions as Knoxville begins work on the first section of the VA. Do we have the map, Renee? No?
We don't have the whole map, we have the.
Okay. You can kind of see the subdivision map, but you know, there's been some work going on at the VA to lay the groundwork for development. And we've been having discussions on what the appropriate price point should be for the lots. Our 3-member board, which is comprised of Heather, Kevin Kincaid, and myself, have met and agree with the proposal that Glenn is going to talk about. So Glenn, I'm going to turn this over to you and we can go from there. Okay, wow.
Thanks, Mark. He's in trouble.
You've invested over $11 million in acquiring the 150 acres and removing the building from the obsolete infrastructure. And the city now is investing $5 million in the park, Veterans Park. In the first phase, these 34 lots, the infrastructure development, and in connecting trails between your campground, Veterans Park, and Young's Park, and the raceway. So we're both deeply invested in this, and we're looking for a payback. And the payback to us is seeing houses built in the VA, having an increase in population, addition of people living and working here, spending more of their money here because they live here, and paying taxes, because in the TIF agreement, the city and the county will split the taxes coming in through the tax abatement program that helps to pay for the demolition and the infrastructure development. This time all around, the city is acting as the land developer. We don't expect to in the future because it costs a lot of money and it's not really our business. But we're doing this because our approaches to existing private land developers are unfulfilled. They basically told us we have 150 at the time, we have 150 acres of unserviced land at the edge of our city limits, just like every other rural community in Iowa. So they were asking us, what can you do to increase our interest in this and reduce our future risk? And so building the park and developing the first subdivision made sense. And we did this in part because City Council wanted to be able to offer some lots to sale to individuals so that they could contract with their own builders. And so that was part of the rationale. If we did the first phase, we could make it available to builders. We're the land developer, we're not the house builder, and individuals who want to do the custom building of their homes, which is the common way that houses are built in Knoxville. We faced all kinds of price and costing dilemmas. It cost almost twice as much to develop a lot today than it did 4 years ago. The inflation is enormous, and you saw some of it in your Prairie Ridge development, but costs have gone up even more since then. And so we had to really separate the cost of producing a lot versus the sale price. And we could do that only the first time because the city is the builder. And as it turns out, the sale of proceeds from the sale of the lots goes to the county in our 28E agreement. And so it was prudent to do that. But in order to keep lot prices down and to provide opportunities for starter homes, workforce housing, whatever you want to call it, we tried to set up a small lot system that will work, and one that would be in sync with the Confluence master plan that the city approved. This area around the park was all set up for row housing. And we haven't had a modern row house built in Knoxville ever. And if we were to follow the plan religiously, we would be offering a land use that's untested in the marketplace. And so we put together a system where on a small lot, you could build a single family home. With 2 small lots, an individual could build a large house. But if with, but also a builder could buy 2 lots side by side and put in a 3-unit row house. And so what we would end up with is a mix of a single family. We've got some lots where duplexes could be built side by side, and these 3-unit row houses. And in the initial stage of development and lot sales in Knoxville, we expect the majority of the lots will be sold for single family homes, because that's what the market really is here now. But as we grow and mature in terms of urban development, we're likely to see more of those other kinds of things. I give you that context just so that we can understand how the prices came about. We also looked at lot prices in the city, and the smallest lots are 50 by 110. So they're 5,500 square feet. And that's the predominant lot size. We have some 60-foot lots on corners, and on one strip facing the park, the depth is different, so the lots are a little wider. But if you think 50 and 60 feet wide, 110 feet deep, those are the 2 basic lot sizes. So when we look at the lots available in the city, they're a lot larger. And so on the second page, I think we're showing some examples. There are still 5 condo lots at McKay. They've been offered on the market for years at $27,000. They've sold a couple recently, but those are mostly the single family lots, not the ones on the cul-de-sac. And KEDC has 4 lots for sale in Deer Run, and they're in the $43,000 range. They're not listed now. They haven't been moving, and one of them has so much slope, it probably will get combined with the one next door. So these are old subdivisions that were developed at lower cost that have been offered on the market for a long time. Don Long at the moment has no intention of expanding his lots in that area there's an area set aside to the north. He's got no interest in doing that at the time. So that's our lot market today. 9 lots, maybe 8 buildable in the city, and then the odd infill. We believe we have pent up demand because we've had so few lots for sale in the marketplace. If anything, people are building in the township around us because they can get land there. We looked at suburbs in Des Moines just to see what the going prices were today. We can't compete at that price, but in Waukee, almost 100,000 a lot. The lots are bigger than what we've discussed, but almost 100,000 a lot, and in Ankeny, 80,000 seems to be the norm. We also looked at Pella, your Prairie Ridge, because it has some smaller lots. It's as close to a comparable as we're going to find. And your smallest lots, which are about 6,000 plus or minus square feet, 7,000, they start at about 33,000, and there are a few that get into the 40s and approach 50, but most of them are in the 30s. And then some of the larger lots start at 50 and move up from there. So when we looked at how to price this, we asked ourselves, we need to come into the market. We need to offer a price that appears to be reasonable in the marketplace to attract buyers. We really need to have a good start to this, because the worst thing you can do is put $5 million in the ground for a subdivision and not have any takers. We need to have people buying lots. We want to hit the market in May. Possession can be in September after the infrastructure in the park is finished. So it's possible that some people or builders could start some homes this fall. The remaining early lot buyers probably would start in the spring. And so we've recommended a price of $27,000 for the 50-foot lots and $31,000 for essentially the 60-foot lots. We want to leave open the possibility of someone building, buying 2 lots and building a larger house. But the thing that allows us to make these lots narrower and still have an effective site to build on is that following the confluence plan, the city is paving the alleys. They'll maintain them, clear the snow, and garages and parking driveways all have to be off the back. And so if you think about a 75-foot lot, well, if you have a 22-foot wide garage and 2 7-foot side yards, you only got 30 some feet for your house. Well, with a 50-foot lot and the garage in the back, if you subtract those 14-foot side yards, you've got 30-some feet for your house. So you can build the same size house on a smaller lot with the garage in them. That's the logic of it.
We
And
have
if you
any-
think about the pricing, essentially 27 for the small lot, 54 for the bigger lot, not unlike Pella.
We have some examples so that we could see that, like what you're talking about, one row housing. I didn't know if Renee.
I have some photos.
Yeah, it'd be awesome if we could.
That's
just
what I
have-
was gonna do next. is
Okay,
just
great.
walk you
All right.
through them.
Okay.
So the first three photos, you'll see two on this page, are from the Confluence Master Plan. I wanted to show examples that they were showing us back then. And the first one is a streetscape without driveways or garages. And that's the kind of feel you'll have around the park and on the boulevard. It's not unlike some of our older neighborhoods where the garages were in the back. Houses appear to be closer together because you don't have the big driveways, the lots are narrower. And then the lower one there on the right is what the back could look like. Now, our lots are deeper than these, we're 110 feet. So you can actually have your garage off the back and a 20-foot driveway in back. So that profile is a little off, but you have a sense of what a paved alley would look like with garages. And then the next slide. Can you go one more? I think we've got these. Oh, okay, we missed one. If you'll just go back. Yeah, we missed, so go forward one and we'll just assume that it's missing. So we then looked at the kind of housing that is being built in Iowa that could fit into this model. And this is a Cedar Rapids project. And I think there are 6 groups of three unit row houses. They're street oriented, the parking's in the back. Yeah, Cedar Rapids, they're building this now, I understand. You'll go to the next one. This is that pocket neighborhood that my wife and I built in Grinnell. These are 40 by 80-foot lots. That's a 1,600 square foot house. And I just wanted to show you the front and the back. Again, they're only 80 foot deep. So with an extra 30 feet, you have a 20-foot front yard and a 20-foot driveway in the back. Contemporary homes. And if you go to the next page. Oh, you know what we did? We did a double-sided. These are double-sided. And so how about if we pass it just the background? So this is a subdivision built by Horton Homes in Aiken, the higher price subdivision. And they have wider lots than are 50 feet. But again, the garages are in the back. So in the front, you can see, and the top one, you can see the houses, and behind it, you can see another row of houses with the garages facing to the back.
Is that a single car or a double car garage?
That's a double car garage.
Okay.
So is there gonna be design plans that they would have to go by? Or are you letting it be, you know, obviously we have some row housing here and different examples. But I just didn't know, is the checklist, is it gonna be similar to what we did at Prairie
It's
Ridge?
going to be similar to what we did in Prairie Ridge, and
Okay.
that's why we have the same committee structure.
Okay.
That I designed for Prairie Ridge.
So I mean, the other thing that we've discussed, but we haven't presented as a recommendation today is deals with a builder coming in and buying, say, 5 lots and building. And we know that this 27,000 a lot isn't competitive for people building in the rural areas outside of the commuter zone. Different towns are offering lots of different prices. So when we have a builder coming in who wants to propose something, we have our development committee to vet that.
Okay.
If they're recommending anything less than that 27, it's something that would go to the landowner, the county, for approval. But in that case, we'd be looking at solid building commitments, because selling the lot by itself doesn't get us ahead if they don't build the house.
Right.
We'd want the houses built in a certain time frame. We'd want to be reviewing the design so that they fit the concept, reasonable quality, things of that nature.
Correct, yep. Because I do know, I'd seen somewhere where Norwalk, they were doing, we are not doing tax abatement because this is
Right.
under an urban development TIF. through us, the county and the city. But, they were 270 for townhomes. So I was thinking, we've got the competition in what we're looking at. So I appreciate you guys going into depth, looking at what you thought these pricing and the lots would be. And, yeah, I want this to grow. I want this to work, and I appreciate you trying to think, if we can get but hopefully get ahead of it and get it out there. And I also think, the marketing piece of that, if there's once, this is finalized and have something formal that we can send out to definitely, to people. So,
Well, I can speak to that just for a moment because the other track that Marion and I are involved in is putting together those marketing materials. And so I lived in Calgary for a long time, and they were increasing their population by 30 or 40,000 a year. So they built a lot of houses. And I had a friend who was a vice president for the largest land development company in town. And he said, land development is about marketing. I have essentially the same piece of bald prairie that my competitor next door has, but I have to convince someone, a family, that this is their new home, that this community is for them. And so we have to market this and use what strengths we have. And the main strengths that we have are in the amenity investment in the park, in the style of community we're building. It's although it resembles some of our older neighborhoods in Knoxville and other small towns in Iowa, it's very distinctive in the modern way. It's very forward. That's kind of development is just starting to happen. The bigger developers are picking it up. Hubble's doing a pocket neighborhood like the Grinnell one in Manning now.
okay.
So we're not going to be 20 years out of date in that regard. So we have our landscape architect doing a drawing of the park as it'll be built. Confluence is building a model that shows this mix of small single family and row houses popping up in the community around the park. We're going to impose the park design into the model. We're working with a marketing person to think about branding and keywords and phrasing and things like that. And we hope to offer the lots in May for September possession. The pricing that we've proposed is through the end of the year. So we have an opportunity to look at the market's reaction to our pricing and come back with any changes that are needed.
Great. Appreciate it.
No, thanks, Glenn. So like Prairie Ridge, because we don't approve every lot sale and the lot pricing here at the board level, but I wanted this first one, as we establish a baseline, to come back to the Board of Supervisors. It is a significant investment that we made, but then post this, everything will be run through the same type of committee we have for Prairie Ridge, because both have that 3-member group reviewing everything with a member of the Board of Supervisors on those committees. And then if there are material changes to the design or the scope of the project, those things would come back to the board for approval and review, or review and approval. So this is getting us launched, and really appreciate Knoxville doing what they're doing to put money in the ground. Like you said, $5 million is a significant investment. So it's nice to see it get moved forward after all these years of work and toil over that property. So.
No, I appreciate that. And I appreciate, once that information, I'd love to, have that sent, because I know people have asked me, and I agree. Once we can get this going, and, it's a great starting point, I think, so.
Well, and if you're comfortable with those prices now, I can start to send one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because usually what they want to know is.
Yep.
So,
Everything else is helpful, but it's.
right.
I'm comfortable with them, Glenn. I mean, we don't want to price ourselves out of the market, but we need to get going on this.
So I'm going to make a motion to approve the plan as presented by the city of Knoxville for pricing at the VA. Lot pricing
I'll
at the VA.
second.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Very good. Thank you. Glenn, thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Thank you. Item number 16 is updates. Mark?
I don't think I have anything.
Steve?
No, I'm good.
I have impact this week. I've been trying to continue to work and talk to legislators regarding the property tax relief and where they're going with that. Still have no real update. Excuse me, my voice is kind of going this evening. And then also I wanted to talk a little bit at budget time. We had, I believe it was Mark that had Lindsay work on some Excel spreadsheets. Excuse me, I can't believe I'm losing my voice, but anyways, I wanted to let the departments and everybody know that I did meet with Lindsay. I appreciate everything that she's done. And I asked her to continue to work with Jake. And I'm gonna take a drink.
You quit talking.
I know, it's like I just lost my voice. Anyways, and where that goes and how, how the process, I just think that it's something that we need to continue to talk about. So that's all I have.
Good.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn if nobody else.
So
has anything
moved.
to say.
Second,
McCombs,
aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Donner.
Aye.